before we start, I just want to say thank you guys for sponsoring my trip and sending me across the world. It was definitely across the world. The travel was fun, but I really appreciate that, and really did a lot in letting me have the opportunity to be there and to help a lot of people. So thank you to you guys. I'm going to keep looking back quite a bit. Let's see. So there was a verse that was pretty constant throughout my time there. It's Colossians 1, verse 7. Let's see. They both changed. Perfect. Okay. It's for he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. So pretty much every day on the trip, something went God's way and not my way. And so the very first thing that happened was when we were flying from Chicago to Brussels in Belgium, just north of France. Our first flight got delayed by, 4 hours, 5 hours. And we had about an hour, 20-minute layover that we were supposed to have, so we were not going to make our second flight. So one of the things I said was, God's going to bring us through whatever adventure he has planned, even if it isn't what we have planned. And that held true through the whole time. Let's see. Yeah, I also said, or wrote down in my notes that we feel like we have some pretty strong faith that this is all going to work out because God's made it this far, but he's going to put that faith to the test. And there's a few adventures I can tell you guys about. And anytime you guys have questions, raise your hand, and when it's convenient for me, I'll call on you guys. Let's go ahead. So first thing is the journey there. I mentioned that 12-hour layover. So we were supposed to fly I flew from Jackson to Chicago, and then to Brussels. We were supposed to go from Brussels to Nairobi, which is the capital. It's a little bit more inland. Mombasa is more on the coast of Kenya. But due to the delays, we flew from Brussels to Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia. It's actually kind of a nice airport. It's interesting because I guess the Chinese influence there, they've really put a lot of money with all the natural resources they are working for in Africa. So you can see some of the airports there are a lot nicer than you'd expect. I met a guy. He said to come to China. They're very nice. The news is wrong, so it's interesting to hear that firsthand. He invited me to Shanghai, so that was cool. Let's see. So I, for some reason, was excited and didn't sleep at all. So I told my friends I was going to get more talkative and more annoying, and they were going to get more annoyed with me. And I warned them. So we were all fine. So I flew in a group with my friend Dean from medical school and his wife Leah, and they're a really great young couple. He just finished his first year of medical school like me, so we're in the same boat, and we knew we had the same classes, and we've just been good friends since, and they have a pretty great just walk with God, and it's cool to see some of that. So it was some formal event in med school, and I heard from Tom and Sarah's son, Jones, who's in Calvary Missionary Baptist Church in Bolivar, where the youth weekend is at. And he invited me, and I said, if you guys are interested, we could potentially make that work. And his wife, Leah, said she'd been praying for Africa. Like, she had a reminder on her phone, and she'd been praying for an opportunity to go. And she was like, Dean, can we? So they were able to make it too, and that was really, really cool. For me to be able to travel with a group of people and just to share my experiences with them, and they were really happy to be there as well. We were happy to be back at the end, but it was kind of cool to go through everything with them. So when we flew from Ethiopia to Kenya, we had to get checked for Ebola. But we also stopped in Brussels because we had 12 hours. Sorry, it'll be a little chaotic, but the Brussels layover was about 12 hours. We got to go into the city. Let's see. There's me with some buildings that have gold on it. It was really cool. It's like the Great Square, I think it's called, or something like that, in Belgium. It was really pretty. On the left there is when we got to Kenya. They had these cameras with thermometers on them or something. I felt a little bit invaded with my privacy. All those boxes on the right are people with their faces and their temperatures, and they were screening us, and it was a bunch of people huddled together, and it was, God brought us through it, because we were not getting through it on our own. It was a pretty exhausting experience, and then everybody's like, well, what if there's Ebola, because you're flying from within Africa, and you're just huddled with a bunch of people, and you're some British tourists getting a little upset, and it was interesting. But Dean and I have seen each other through all of med school, so we've seen each other without sleep and pretty tired, but there is a new level of exhaustion, I think, that we felt. And we kept it, I think, pretty good spirits, but there was, taking turns, keeping each other up. Let's see. So, when we landed in Nairobi, we were greeted by Tom and Sarah's son, Timothy. And this is him on the right. And this is us. He took us to the beach. This is the Indian Ocean. And he was really, really helpful the entire trip. He met us in Nairobi. He's from Mombasa. So he took the train and made an extra special trip. It's about 7 hours one way, just to meet us at the airport, to help us, make sure we get fed, give us rides, take care of the changing currency, all these things. So he was very bright light, and when we got back and we kind of relaxed for a second and we were getting taken care of. In Nairobi, we went to Nairobi National Park. Saw some cool animals. Giraffes, there's some baboons giving each other a massage, some zebras, rhinos, more giraffes, more baboons. It was pretty cool. They have a truck you stand up in, and you can see out the sides, so they just take you to the national park, and whenever you're ready to move on, you say, "Sawa Sawa." So, I don't have it with me, but there's a baboon that stole an insulin needle, and so if there's there was somebody who was having some issues with nausea, so we gave her a shot, and we were stopped at a rest stop, and some monkeys came in and went looking, and they stole a bag of syringes, so if there is some new healthcare in the safari area, you know where it came from. So that was a bump in the road, but it was kind of funny. Somebody has a video somewhere, but I couldn't get it today. So we kind of had that nice uplifting experiences after the travel. We got to Mombasa, and the first night we got hit with a test of faith because we found some bed bugs in the hotel. I think I had to find a new area of confrontation in myself to yell at the hotel staff to change my room a couple of times. It was a journey, but God helped us through. Dean and Leah had previously had bed bugs, and so they were used to checking for it, and they were like, here's eggs, here's the bed bugs, I'm moving. They're like, can we check your beds? So we checked all of our beds, and we shuffled around rooms, and finally got to somewhere we could sleep more or less comfortably. So it was let's see, there's a slide for it. Oh, so everybody says sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite, but I was praying, don't let the bed bugs bite that night. And it was I was definitely praying, don't let the bed bugs bite. Prayed over the bed, it was the whole experience. God brought us through it. It was definitely another test of faith. I mean, you had this thing of, we have these plans. You would expect some basic things from a hotel, and God said, we're going to push you on your buttons and push them and make you lean on me. So we were nice to the hotel staff after, but there was some ups and downs through that, and just ways that we were like reflecting and relating with each other, like we want to glorify God and shine a light on this mission trip, and if we are entitled Americans, that maybe doesn't open the doors as much as other things could. So we tried to keep ourselves focused on the goal. So we got back Saturday, or we got into Mombasa on Saturday, and Sunday we had church. I have some videos that I'll show you guys. Lord willing, it works. Should be good. It's a very different experience. I mean, the Bible's the same, the message is very much the same, and that's beautiful. With the music, I mean, you got to dance with the crowd because everybody's dancing. You're the only one not dancing. So you just kind of copy and relax a little bit and just enjoy the spiritual experience, I guess. And there's some really just fervent praying and the way they direct the service and praying over people. Or it was just kind of beautiful to see some of the fire that sometimes we forget that we have deep down, and just to see it kind of on display. And it's definitely, so there was two different churches. There was where there's a bit of a younger crowd, and then there was where Tom and Sarah are at. They're also young, but so we split up for the first Sunday, and it was definitely louder. They had drums and bass, and the piano player was really impressive. I guess he just picked it up by watching people, because I was like, how do you do that? Because he was, I have some videos, but it wasn't from my service because I was too busy dancing and not taking videos. But it was a really great experience, and the sermon was really good. He just really brought home the gospel. So they say a phrase, I have a video, and then they have somebody translate it to Swahili, which is the kind of one of the many languages, but it's Swahili or English are kind of the most common languages spoken in Kenya. And so they say something, and then you hear it in Swahili. And Dean didn't know which one was preaching, which one was translating for a while, and then started to figure it out. But just a really loving group of people there. And it was cool to see later in the week how they hosted us and made sure we were doing okay. And it was just really beautiful to see how just the family of God stretches beyond any borders. I had the chance to share my testimony at the end of service. I got that feeling where, you're supposed to do something, and then if you don't do it, you're going to regret it later. So I just decided to do it. And they also had to sing a song, so I pulled Dean and Leah up, and they had no idea what we were doing. So I got some help from the crowd, and we sang Goodness of God. And I played the piano without a pedal, which is fun. But it was a really good experience and pushed us out of the usual routine, which, can be good to just see, we get comfortable sometimes, and, being pushed and just being able to focus on, they're praising God, they're lifting up God's name, and they're doing it in the way that is right for their culture. And it's really cool to see just how many ways that we'll see in heaven of people praising God. And yeah, it's kind of exciting. I have some videos. There's 3 videos in a row, so we'll see. Okay. The first one, I think, is just some of the songs at the other church. It's kind of a very moving service. Moving as in everybody's moving physically. The other one too. But it was really cool to see. And just sometimes we can attribute the amount of movement to a certain denomination, Pentecostals, and I think there's definitely a wide variety of everything there. But it was kind of cool just to see. It was a very Missionary Baptist service. Time and place emphasized very strongly. It was really cool to see, my friends that hadn't been in the Missionary Baptist service before, just to hear that. And they're like, it was a really good service and different things were emphasized. And I talked to the pastor, and just thanked him for his message. And it was just, there's so many beautiful different things about their culture, but the thing that unites us is Jesus, and he died on the cross, and he made a way for us to come to him, and that's the most beautiful thing of all. And it was just cool to see that across the world, half asleep, half awake, jet lagged, but you're still seeing Christ being brought forward, and it's not because I'm there doing it, it's on their own, and it was just really cool to see that side of things. Oh, this is the
tumekuja na nia ya kuweza kukutana na Mungu. God may touch us, and that is impossible. We also touch him. Na Mungu aweza kutugusa, na kama inawezekana hata tutuguse. We have come to this place speaking from blessing of the Lord. Tumekuja sehemu hii tukitafuta baraka za Mungu. We are seeking a relationship, a connection with the Almighty King of heaven. Tunatafuta mahusiano na kuelewana na Mungu mwenyewe. See, when they said wanted to know him, na wakati Waisraeli walitaka kumjua, and when they moved near to the mountain of Sinai to meet him, na walipopokea zaidi kwa mlima Sayuni, they were told to touch the mountain, they were told to move near.
Yeah, and then one of the mornings they had all the kids, at least the little kids in the school, singing the English and Swahili version of God Is So Good. And somebody got that in video, and I got it. So the school is a big part of their ministry there, and there's close to 500 students, so bigger than a lot of small town schools. And they, I think one of the things is through church support and then mission support from other churches in the U.S., they really help feed kids. Sometimes it's their only meal for that day is that lunch at school. And they have some pretty great teachers that try and really prepare the kids to go out and be able to succeed in the world. And sometimes there's, kids who only have one parent living, or orphans, or the grandparents took them in, and there's just a lot of really sad stories of ways that the school is trying to lighten a lot of kids' lives. 500 kids is no small feat, and Sarah Alande is, at the forefront of that. And I think I didn't really focus much on the school side of things. I was in a medical clinic throughout the week, but I know that's just a really powerful ministry they have through there. And then here's the kids. It was pretty powerful to be in that room with all the echoes and all the little voices singing. It was really cool. Let's see. Yeah, I told you guys that I shared my testimony, and it was a cool thing to just be able to thank the people for their hospitality, and then just to reiterate that this God is the same God, and he doesn't know these borders, and he can travel across the world, across time, and God's the same. Thankful for my own testimony and how he saved my soul a couple years ago here during revival. And I told them I knew all about God. I was a pastor's kid, and you could ask me Bible trivia, I'd know it, but I didn't know God in my heart, didn't have a relationship with him. And of course, I got saved during revival, and it's changed my life forever. Yeah. So before we go to the clinic, do you guys have any questions for me on anything you've seen so far or haven't seen?
So the translation, is that all the time, or was it for the benefit of the English speakers?
It's all the time. So they have people who mainly speak English, or people, I think a lot of people at home speak Swahili. It's kind of a mix. So when I told my testimony, I said a phrase, and then Timothy would say it in Swahili for people that couldn't speak English very well. Of course, I have the American accent, not the Kenyan accent, so my English is a little different. But between the two, most people could understand what was being said. Any other questions? Okay, so Monday through Friday, we saw almost 400 patients. There are 3 main physicians. Dr. Mike from Old Union, he's been doing this. I mean, he turned 75 the second day we got there, and he's been doing this about as long as he could get over there. So he's been a huge just voice and help to many people. I mean, Jamaica, Belize, Ghana, Kenya. I mean, he's really lived a life of service, and it's just really cool to see how he's used his gift for medicine and helping others all over the world. And he doesn't just do that in other countries. I mean, he's always, I heard his wife can't find him half the time. He's always at his neighbors' houses, helping them out. And he's does a lot of selfless things throughout his whole practice, whether it's going on house visits, people who aren't able to make it to the hospitals easily, or there's just throughout his whole life you see a beautiful picture of servitude. And I've been able to work with him twice before this trip and then on this trip, and he is very sharp. And Dean and I were trying to quiz him on some things and see if we could stump him, and he was on point every time. So God's really used him in a strong way. And then we had Dr. James Asira. He's from Mombasa, Kenya area. His claim to fame is that he was the top 10 students in the nation on their national exam. So we always, Timothy would joke about how he's always quoting that if he was, there's kind of a sibling rivalry type thing. They're not brothers by blood, but they're very good friends. And he's a really, really great guy, and he's helping a lot on the day-to-day life in Mombasa. And then there's Brian, and he's a medical officer, which is the Kenyan equivalent of a PA. And he works, I'll tell you more about him later, but he's a really great guy. I'm going to go through a couple stories. We've got 3. And we saw a lot of patients, but these are just 3 stories that I had pictures that I could go along with, and just really impactful. So this first one, there was a little boy, and I was playing with him when his father was having an appointment, and I was kind of in the same room just listening on both ends, and then he wanted a picture with my stethoscope, so I got him. But his dad was pretty sick. He had, all the list of heart failure and diabetes, and a lot of issues. And he'd been in the ICU recently and couldn't afford the medications. Was not in a great spot, so it was tough to see. We knew that boy wasn't probably going to be able to be with his dad a lot longer, but we were able to help his dad and give him some medication and potentially prolong his life and give him some help. So there's always more that you want to be able to do, and they're going to keep coming to the clinic as long as you're open. So we had to figure out what is physically possible for us to do, what resources do we have, and the greatest healer of them all is God, and He can do lots of miracles. And that faith we tested because you want to see us. We have these things in the U.S. where we could help people or have these programs for people who don't have a lot of money. The U.S. healthcare system is far from perfect. I don't want to claim that, but there is a lot of things that we have that you just can't find quite as easily there. So there was a lady who had some pretty bad heart failure, and she couldn't afford her medications. And so Dr. Mike gave me his wallet, which if you're walking around with the attending physician's wallet, you feel pretty powerful. And he said go to the chemist, which is their version of the pharmacy. And this lady, she needed 4 medications, and he said to get her like a month or 2 for her heart failure, because she was having a lot of issues, whether it was swelling or she couldn't hardly take a couple steps without catching her breath. And she's in her 30s, 20s maybe, 20s, 30s. She's the lady in the middle from the right. The lady on the far right, her name is Mary. She was a community health worker, and she helped with the translation and just helping with the smoothness of the clinic. So it cost about $20 for all her meds for 2 months, which was crazy because we're like in the US, I mean, at a zero, then maybe some more. So we were able to help her, and I mean, she was in tears just because of, I mean, Dr. Mike Schindler also gave me his credit card. So I was very thankful that we were able to help her and a lot of others like her, just be able to have a few more months of some help, and hopefully they can figure out some more things on their end. We can't fix everything, but we can, you know, help people get through a few more days, and it was kind of cool to be able to do that. And we got a lady, she was somebody's mom. They brought her in, and I mean, she was in a lot of pain from arthritis, and I mean, she had some really bad eczema, like almost like leathery hands from scratching for years and years. But I mean, she was a happy old lady, and it was really cool to just see how living in any conditions, I mean, I don't know if she was in a shack or, I mean, last time she ate or anything, but she was just full of joy. And seeing that kind of jostles my perspective on life. Like, how many times am I worried about, you know, they ran out of fries, or I don't know, something little like that. And then there's people over here of way less, and they find their joy in the Lord. And so I think it was cool for me to realize that I don't have it so bad, even though there's days where I feel like I'm at the end of myself. I know that God covers so much more than I could ever do on my own. And so we gave her some steroid shots on her knees, which helped her pain quite a bit. And she was smiling, walking out of there, and it was just kind of cool to see. I mean, she didn't need us to be happy, and it was just a beautiful picture of faith. Let's see. I got some random pictures. This is me giving someone a shot in their knee. I think if you're a medical student, you probably don't get to do that. So, you know, it's kind of cool to Dr. Mike walk me through it and give a shot before the shot. It's the whole thing. But it's kind of a cool experience. And then this is my friend Dean and his wife Leah. Leah was playing really cool. So she works for a pregnancy center in Kirksville, in the same town as Dean and I went to school. And she helps a lot with just helping with relationship health or preventing abuse. And so she was our pharmacy girl, and also she helped with just social work. So there was a lady I heard her talking to, and she had some issues with her husband, and I heard her saying that, you know, I can't fix all your issues, but, you know, she told her about sin and the fall, and, you know, how God made a way to make it through things, and she shared the gospel with her, and they prayed, and I know there were several conversations like that throughout the whole clinic, not just from her, but from others. And you know, we didn't have revival services every night like we might have liked to, although we were pretty exhausted. But God really opened some doors for us to share the gospel and invite people to church, and it was a pretty cool opportunity. Let's see. So my next topic is Dr. Brian Lagunbe. I can't pronounce his last name, but he wouldn't care. He's very nice. He's the medical officer, and he goes about once a month, spends a week up north in the north part of Kenya, close to Somalia. And it is, I mean, no man's land in that area. So they have, I mean, people, gang wars, they have people come in with, you know, machete cutting off their arm, or stabbed, or gunshots, or, I mean, you name it, this kind of war zone almost. And we were joking, it's like, if you, like, Leo was asking, like, what happens if they kill someone? He's like, nothing. Like, it's just kind of a different world in that northern part near Somalia. And one of his quotes that I liked a lot, he was saying he has to de-escalate situations because people will come in and they want him to do things that he can't do, and they want to, you know, finish their fight or whatever. He's like, why would you kill each other today when we have tomorrow? Like, that's some sort of, dark humor, I guess, but he was just a really cool example of, he said, half the time I don't know what to do because we don't have a lot there to work with. And he's like, I close my eyes and I pray, and suddenly I have this Spirit-led decision, and that usually works out. And it reminds me of just how living every day, every decision by faith. We like to make our big decisions or pray about those, but every single little thing that we do, God has a plan for us, and He's there for direction anytime. And it's just pretty cool. He's doing the Lord's work up there, and definitely keep him in your prayers. He went last week, and yeah, he's just a really cool guy. Let's see. This is him on the left, Dr. Brian, and then on the right is Dr. James. Really great people that we're going to work with on the clinic. Then there's Dr. Mike on the left. I think there is just checking out one of the patients. And then this is a table of pharmacy we had. Pretty good Western Kentucky University representation there. They got, I think there's 5 graduates of people from the U.S. that were part of the group. We had 4 nurses, and then, of course, the doctor from the U.S., and then Dean and I as medical students, and then some people that were just willing to help out and make things run smoothly. This is a group picture we had of the people who worked in the clinic. There's Sarah Alonde on the left. She helped a lot with translation. We had several other translators. Brian, people from the U.S., Jody, Carrie, yeah, lots of people. It was a really good group, and it was a blessing to kind of get to know them. And obviously there was a large group, so you get lots of pushes and pulls and stressful days and things, but we all came together, and it was really cool to see what God did through us. Okay. That was the clinic. There's a lot of cool things about the culture and just the different profiles of faith in that area. There's a pretty large Muslim population, and at 4 a.m. the first night, I was trying to sleep, and I hear somebody singing, yelling in Arabic over some speakers. I was really confused, and then I realized it was their call to prayer. And so they have 5 calls to prayer each day, 1 before sunrise, then 3 throughout the day, and then 1 at the end of the day. A lot of the women would have to wear head coverings and hijabs. Some people only wear like eye slits. It's just a very different circumstance than we see. There obviously are some in the U.S., and there's a lot of super nice people, but you see a very different kind of a culture shock of just what people live with day to day. There's several Seventh-day Adventist, Pentecostal, you name it, there are denominations out there. There's a pretty high majority of people that are going to church, very few atheists. There's been a pretty large presence of the prosperity gospel, and it's, terrible how they'll take people who don't have a lot of things and tell them if they give all their money, then God will make them rich, and that's not what God promises us. And the churches battle that quite a bit in their ministry, and it's one of the things you see out there. The water there, don't drink it. You can get bottled water. That's good. We had some, it wasn't like street food, but it was like a restaurant that wasn't didn't necessarily pass the test apparently, because we all had some digestive issues after. The bathrooms there are a little different. If you're lucky, there's a full toilet where you can sit down. If you're not, there's a hole in the ground. You just got to figure it out, I guess. Bring toilet paper with you. So, I think being a guy is easier than being a girl. yeah, it's different, but it's a culture thing. So the driving, the rule is don't get hit and don't hit anyone. It probably would give a lot of people, including myself, a nervous breakdown if you try to drive there. Everybody's swerving, there's these three-wheeled, they're called tuk-tuks, and they are very brave. And I'm a pretty good driver, but I think Jamaica was a little bit worse in the actual roads, but the people on the roads were a little bit more brave in Kenya, just from what I saw. And it was, we just had full faith in our driver, and we were fine. So it was crazy. And of course, you're stopped on the road, and there's people asking you for. People will dress up as someone who's blind and start tapping on your car, and they have some fruit to sell, and just don't make eye contact. I guess I don't know. There's a lot of people who are living in poverty, doing anything they can to get by, and it's you got to always ask your guide whether or not you should buy something, because you're probably getting scammed, paying the American tax or white tourist tax. But a lot of that is just a reasonable price in the U.S. So. It's different, and you kind of have to be on guard a little more than you are here. You can't just, you don't know what situation someone's in, and what they did to get where they're at, and just gotta be a little bit more on top of things. Let's see. There's a lot of things, but I want to bring my part to a close before you guys start asking questions. That kind of what I said, God brought us through an adventure, and we did not plan every step of it, but He brought us through and kept us where we needed to be. From the flight delays, food poisoning, or just random group tension of traveling with a bunch of people who have a bunch of opinions, but we made it. And on the way back, we were worried about the train because we didn't get the train on time. We made it. But we were stuck in traffic, and just lots of ways that we knew that on our own we couldn't have made everything line up the way that it did. He holds all things together. For He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. So thank you for sending me and praying for me, and your prayers were well needed. And any questions?
What was the almost kidnapped moment?
Oh, yeah. So we were, it wasn't almost kidnapped, but we weren't sure. So we were, I was fine on that, it's fine. We took an Uber from the train station to the airport, and he seemed like a nice guy. He saw from our phone number on the app that we were Americans, so I'm like, okay, that's a little bit scary, but that's fine. Took us forever to find him. And then he was driving the right way to the airport, but he missed a turn. And we're like, pretty sure nobody here that's doing Uber doesn't know the turn to make. So we're like, is he just going to take the next turn and it'll be fine? Or are we going somewhere we don't want to go? We had all our suitcases were huddled up in the back of his car. But it was fine. And then somebody in the airport tried to scam us, but it's fine. We made it through. We had enough experience by then to make it tour great, and the way back was very smooth travels, and we slept on the first flight, and yeah, it was pretty good. So thankful for that, and for just all the ways that He worked through us, that God worked through us and kept us safe.
Did you say you had any ER experience? Whether emergencies came in, or was it just kind of clinical?
We didn't really have ER. It was more like going to see your doctor's office, but there was, an older lady who 2 years ago got hit by a machete in the head and had a huge, deep imprint in her head, and but it was mostly healed, just a scar. There's a lot of crazy things. There's kids with skin conditions. There was lots of malaria testing that we were doing. We were all on malaria meds just in case if one of us got something. A lot of high blood pressure, some diabetes, a lot of saw somebody with some really bad cataracts, can hardly see, some dental stuff. I try to bring a dentist with us next time if we can. Yeah, just everything. Well, you can come find me after if you have any more questions. Happy to talk to you guys, and thank you guys so much for all your support. Appreciate it so much.